The so what is because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned aircraft, they are the most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed. They basically have an unlimited payload capacity and can park it over the White House if they wanted. It's checkmate. I have been trying to maintain tactically a very visible profile and have kept my phone, and they are definitely digitally tracking me. Okay, this is like signs of paranoid schizophrenia, in my opinion. Okay.
We've also today, I'm going to be able to share with you some of what we believe to be his plans and motives as to why he conducted this attack. Now, before we go on, I want to just address a couple of things before we get too far along here. I want you to know that we're very well aware of a podcast that is going around today and the contents of the letter in that podcast. We've been aware of that document for a while now, and we still have not completely gone all the way through that and verified that entirely. We are in one of the two telephones and one laptop. So one telephone and one laptop that we still have not been able to get into. There is one cell phone.
I don't know what podcast they're talking about, but I suspect that that's where the Manifesto conversation started, maybe. Wait, he was on Shawn Ryan's pod? Wait, what? This guy was on Shawn Ryan's? Breaking. Shawn Ryan just dropped the emergency Matt Livelsberger episode, allegedly posting an email manifesto from the Green Beret behind the Tesla truck. In an email dated December 31st, this makes sense. Shawn Ryan is the number one podcast for guys like this. He's the guy whose podcast had Pete Hegseth on as well. The real email manifesto sent. I urge everyone to dedicate at least 35 minutes to fully grasp the details that have unfolded over the past few days. This episode takes a deep dive into the manifesto, an email sent to Samosar by Matt Livelsberger himself. Within this chilling document, Livelsberger boldly declares, what I'm going to send you is going to change the course of humanity. Former Green Beret. Well, he wasn't a former Green Beret. I'm pretty sure the manifesto is fake news. The source of it is a couple months old. Is at the center of the story just days before he drove a Tesla Cybertruck loaded with explosives to Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas. The Cybertruck incident has raised serious questions about Livelsberger's motivations, his credibility, and the information he shared. In this episode, we unpack the manifesto's contents. That's twice now true crime terrorists and mill murderers to appear on Rogan and Shawn Ryan. Yeah, we'll take a look at it. We'll take a look at this is the one they went over in the press conference. Fellow service members, veterans, and all Americans, time to wake up. We're being led by weak and feckless leadership who only serve to enrich themselves. We are the United States of America, the best country people to ever exist, but right now we are terminally ill and headed towards collapse. This was not a terrorist attack, it was a wake-up call. Americans only pay attention to spectacles and violence. What better way to get my point across than a stunt with fireworks and explosives? Why did I personally do it now? I need to cleanse my mind of the brothers I've lost and relieve myself of the burden of the lives I took. What?
That we are getting into, and I can tell you
he is a Trump supporter. He was a Trump supporter.
Scratching the surface and almost hourly receiving additional information requiring substantial investigative effort.
I don't know if this is
of this joint investigation between ourselves, the FBI, and the ATF. And so, again, while I understand all of that is out there, I believe it is our responsibility to give you what we know to be a fact, and that is what I will continue to do as we move forward. A couple of questions came up in regards to the positive identification of the suspect in the vehicle. I want to give you a couple.
Yeah, he texted his ex. It's so wild that Connor O'Malley is genuinely Nostradamus. Las Vegas bomber reached out to his girlfriend ex-girlfriend a few days before the attack. I rented a Tesla Cybertruck. It's the shit. I feel like Batman or Halo. Oh, okay. It's been wild. So much learning and fun. I rented a Tesla Cybertruck. It's the shit. I'm building drones in my new position. You would love it. I feel like Batman or Halo. I don't know if this is cool or I should bully you about it. How fast is it? Ungodly. I feel like Batman or Halo is such a funny take. CNN has an email. Livelsberger said in an email the day before the explosion that he was armed and in possession of a massive VBIED and expressed conspiratorial concerns that government agencies were tracking him. A copy of the email viewed by CNN said, okay, I trust this. New details on the Cybertruck explosion. Master Sergeant Livelsberger was diagnosed with depression last year, but had not been assessed to be a risk of violence or suicide. Two U.S. officials familiar with his record tell me and Natasha Bertrand. This is from CNN. Law enforcement has received the message and examined where the email originated and believe it was written by Livelsberger, a law enforcement official familiar with the investigation, told CNN. He tried to flex and she wanted to bully him. She caused it. Okay, yeah, it's a sarcasm. It's been posted on Reddit. Do claim the drones are Chinese craft based on alien technology. Okay, dude, I don't think. Anyway, we'll look at the. I'll look at the email, but I'm not entirely certain as to the veracity of this email. I don't know if it's legit or not.
Finally, the last category just to touch on is motive, which I know everyone is very eager to try to understand and be able to explain what happened. I'll reiterate what the sheriff said is we still have a large volume of data to go through and a lot of content to go through. As you know, with any one of our devices, there's thousands, if not millions, of videos and photos and documents and web history and all of those things that need to be analyzed. But with that, just as a preview for as we get information, we're trying to be as transparent as possible. There were a couple pieces of content we thought were important to share for now. One is in the note application, he seemed to have two letters. One letter in particular, as you can see here, this is an excerpt from that letter. He says, fellow service members, veterans, and all Americans, time to wake up. We are being led by weak and feckless leadership who only serve to enrich themselves. He goes on to explain a variety of other grievances and issues, some political, some personal, a variety of other things, which we will do our best to release very quickly here. But then there's a second letter where there's some more excerpts. This one seems to be dated after the fact.
Wait. Feckless leadership. No, he wrote it right. The cop read it wrong.
Here. But then there's a second letter where there's some more excerpts. This one seems to be dated after the fact in that notes application. And in there, you can read a couple of the excerpts. We are the United States of America, the best country, people to ever exist. But right now, we are terminally ill and headed towards collapse. This was not a terrorist attack. It was a wake-up call. Americans only pay attention to spectacles and violence. What better way to get...
Oh, he said it's not a terrorist attack. Okay, never mind. Then that's fine. Guys, you don't understand. He said it's not a terrorist attack.
Get my point across than a stunt with fireworks and explosives. Why did I personally do it now? I need to cleanse my mind of the brothers I've lost and relieve myself of the burden of the lives I took. I'd like to just also expand on that and understand that these are just excerpts. In there, he does offer additional information that is varying on the spectrum in terms of political grievances, issues about the conflicts elsewhere, not here, domestic issues, societal issues, a variety of other things, including personal challenges as well. We are intending to release those initial letters so people can understand the best they can what the person's thought process was at one point in time. However, please understand there is still a lot more content to go through, and that may change. There may be a lot more information that we recover that explains either more or shows a change in mindset at different times.
Yeah, so in terms of the so-called manifesto that's circulating online, we have strong evidence to suggest that it was the subject that wrote it, but we haven't conclusively proven that yet. And that evidence relates to other evidence that we're finding that we're able to compare that lead us to believe it was in fact him who sent it.
Oh, dang. Well, we have tactically ascertained the veracity of the manifesto, which the suspect, the perpetrator of the thermal implosion event, kinetically put pen to paper. It seems as though there is veracity to the writing of said manifesto event. This is not the podcast email one.
Can you say why definitively he chose the Trump International Hotel and why he decided to come here to Las Vegas?
Yeah, the question is, with the excerpts that we showed, can we definitively identify why he chose the Trump Hotel Tower location as well as Las Vegas? And the answer is no. In fact, I think when you read through some of that, you might find that there were some other considerations as well for other locations. And we can't verify all of that at this point, and so that's why I haven't talked about that publicly.
Do you know what other locations he was considering, and were they here in Nevada?
There was one location in Grand Canyon that was specifically talked about there, but we haven't been able to verify anything as well.
Okay. On that note, New York Times wrote an article on at least one of the manifestos is circulating around that the cops have also revealed. I feel like there are two separate manifestos out there, potentially. One is this that has been delivered to Shawn Ryan's podcast tactically, or at least this one guy who Shawn Ryan had on his podcast. All right, let's hear what he had to, let's hear what this podcast looks like from Shawn Ryan now.
This guy emailed me and told me he was being watched by the FBI and Homeland Security, but they weren't going to do anything to him because he had a VBID. I'm not playing, dude. I have the email. I am shaking, man. This is nuts.
And it goes from there. And I sat there for probably an hour talking to my wife. I'm shaking. I can't even think straight. Like normal day shot. And I didn't know what I want to do. Do I sit on this? Do I do nothing with it? I've got to tell somebody. I've got to tell the FBI at least, because this is huge. This is all over the news. And then I was like, well, dude, this guy wanted to get in contact with Shawn Ryan. So let me get this to Shawn Ryan, see if I can get with him. And
that is amazing. He's like, yeah, I'm shaking, thinking, who do I get in contact with? And I think to myself, got to give this to the FBI. But then I'm like, no, f the FBI. Shawn Ryan is the guy. Under no circumstance do we think that the guy who exploded his Cybertruck could potentially be mentally not all there. That's what I love about the story in general, is that not a single person is going, hey, hold up, maybe the 15-year touring special forces operator who had a litany of complications at home could potentially be, I don't know, mind broken. No, we only thought that before he blew himself up. Now that he blew himself up, it seems that he had actually arrived at anti-gravity technology.
I had a buddy who knew your producer, and we went from there. But
wow. Do you want to read the email?
Yep. So this email came in on December 31st at 10:42 a.m. That is Tuesday.
Matthew Livelsberger did something in this email that I call the sandwich technique, okay? The bread that you use, the burger technique, if you want to call it that, is truth, insane stuff in between, and then more truth, potentially likely truth. In case I do not make it my decision point or onto the Mexico border, I am sending this now. Please do not release this until 1st Jan and keep my identity private until then. First off, I am not under duress or hostile influence or control. My first car was a 2008 Black Mustang V6 for verification. What we have been seeing this part is like the truthful part, right? What we have been seeing with drones is the operational use of gravitic propulsion systems, powered aircraft by most recently China in the East Coast. But throughout the history, the U.S., only we and China have this capability. Our OPSEN, Operation Center, location for this activity is in the box below. China has been launching them from the Atlantic from submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up. As of now, it is just a show of force, and they are using it similar to how they use the balloon for SIGINT and ISR, which are also part of the integrated comm system. There are dozens of these balloons in the air at any given time. The so what is, because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned aircraft, they are the most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed. They basically have an unlimited payload capacity and can park it over the White House if they wanted. It's checkmate. USG needs to give the history of this, how we are employing it, and how we are weaponizing it, how China is employing them, and what the way forward is. China is poised to attack anywhere on the East Coast. I've been followed for a week now from likely Homeland or FBI, and they are looking to move on me and are unlikely going to let me cross into Mexico. But I won't, because they know I am armed and have a massive VBIED, which is code word for vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. I have been trying to maintain tactically a very visible profile and have kept my phone, and they are definitely digitally tracking me. Okay, this is like signs of paranoid schizophrenia, in my opinion. Okay, I have knowledge of this program and also war crimes that were covered up during airstrikes in the Nimruz province in Afghanistan in 2009. So we're back to like the truth now. Okay, likely the truth. By the admin, DOD, DEA, and CIA, I conducted targeting for these strikes of over 125 buildings. 65 were struck because of civcas that killed hundreds of civilians in a single day. U.S. FORA continued strikes after spotting civilians on the initial ISR. It was supposed to take 6 minutes and scramble all aircraft and CENTCOM. The UN basically called these war crimes, but the administration made them disappear. I was part of that cover-up with U.S. FORA and agent bleep of the DEA. So I don't know if my abduction attempt is related to either. I worked on General Miller's IO staff, as well as the response to Bala Murghab. AOBS commander at the time, bleep, can validate this. You need to elevate this to the media so we avoid a world war, because it's a mutually assured destruction situation. For vetting, my LinkedIn is Matt Berg or Matthew Livelsberger, an active duty 18 Zulu out of 110. My profile is public. I have an active TSSCI with UAP and USAP access. Do not message me. I will send out updates via both Signal and email, but trust me, you're gonna want to be involved. 18 Zulu, signing out. So my initial assessment on the, on the guy and also Shawn Ryan in general is that I don't think you're going to ever find some real damning truths about whatever is happening within the American government by the likes of Shawn Ryan or on his show. Ironically enough, Shawn Ryan also has claimed that he might be under threat for revealing this information. Where was it? He tweeted out something along the lines of, he basically tweeted out something like, I'm under threat. Hey man, this is an activity duty Special Forces TM Sergeant out of 10th. I want to blow the whistle on our activities in a certain place. I'm willing to sit down with you on the 31st in Flagstaff or do it remotely via phone. Must be done before the 31st as I'll be leaving. You know what's really funny? Shawn Ryan probably gets at least 1,000 emails like this a day, which is precisely the reason why when he saw this email, he did not respond to it. It didn't go to Shawn Ryan, did it? It went to his guest? No, He, of course, sent one to Shawn Ryan directly as well, for the record. Of course, what's funny to me, at least, is that you have one former government guy, former Navy SEAL CIA contractor, getting upset at another current government guy, Jack Posobiec, also former Navy intelligence. Jack Posobiec immediately runs into the story headfirst and says, spoke with an Army friend who served with Matthew Livelsberger in Afghanistan. Says the email story about the war crimes in 2019 is totally made up, that they didn't even have strike authority like he's talking about. Now, it's interesting because I think that this is like varying degrees of PSYOP, where you have Jack and wokeness Posobiec, who is a Navy intelligence guy, participating in, the more basic types of PSYOP divide and conquer initiatives. And then you have the Shawn Ryan guy who has to maintain his veneer as a anti-government guy, but then sometimes, almost always, ends up landing on the side of whatever initiatives the government wants you to pay attention to. Anyway, I'm a psychiatrist, and this is very clearly schizophrenia or psychosis more broadly. Unfortunately, many such cases after the kind of trauma you experience in the Army. Yeah, that's what I think as well. I see nothing wrong with the dude's email. Unlimited payload and anti-grav technology. You see nothing wrong with a guy. Look, submarines do have the capability of launching drones. That is 100% correct, just so you understand. Unlimited payload capabilities are, as far as I understand, impossible. The fact that he also paired up the Chinese weather balloon as a massive point of Chinese military might that they're flexing over the oblivious American population, I think shows how maybe there's a limit to the veracity of the statements. There is no such thing as unlimited payloads. What are you talking about? Don't get excited, but we know very little about our existence or the world around us. Oh my God, it's always alien guys in the chat that go, yeah, it's alien technology. Anti-grav technology and unlimited payload would be life-altering information, okay? Life-altering technological developments that undermine things that you know about gravity, okay? Things that we understand. Like it would change the world. But anyway, let's just keep going. Look, maybe he was exaggerating on the unlimited payload. I still think I still don't agree that it's likely Chinese drones off the East Coast. One of the statements I made about this last night was, while I love entertaining conspiracy theories like this, I said, call me crazy, but I don't think the Chinese government has unlimited payload capability anti-grav tech drones that launch from subs near New Jersey to monitor Wawas. And maybe the real PSYOP is making you think that this could possibly be why the Green Beret killed himself in the Cybertruck. Why doesn't blowing himself up increase the legitimacy of anything he said before? He said something crazy and then did something crazy, so he's probably just crazy. That's what I think as well. However, for the gumshoes over here at the Shawn Ryan podcast, the fact that another active duty service member, most likely exhibiting a mental health crisis, killing themselves in this spectacular fashion, all of a sudden lends more credence to the arguments that he was, lends more credence to the information he was delivering.
Just in the realm of conjecture again, I would say Trump Tower, it draws more media, more fanfare. Was this an assassination attempt? That kind of stuff. So you get more press, more media pulling into it because it is such a significant namesake, if you will. But at the same time, it was a fireworks display and very little more. And if I'm running with the theory that I proposed a little while ago, he didn't want to hurt anybody. He wanted to send a message.
No, I mean, it's very obvious. Look, the guy's got great tradecraft. He changed his signal number, if that was him, or his whatever the contact number on signal. 20 plus year in special operations at the highest level. picked a car that's bulletproof to do this. I think, yeah, there definitely wasn't mass casualties. He wasn't trying to hit mass casualties, because otherwise he would have done it at another location.
Dude, I love the idea where you have to maintain the position that like our beautiful special operations veterans are all Jason Bourne, and therefore if they really wanted to blow something up, I tell you what, they would do a much better job than the ISIS veteran guy. I promise you, okay? They would. Yeah, I think he just wanted to kill himself, okay? I think he was, look, if there's a conspiracy there, and there could be one, okay? I'm not saying that there isn't. If there's a conspiracy there, I doubt that it is in line with whatever these guys are firmly committed to, okay? If there's a conspiracy there, it is more likely that the conspiracy revolves around, I don't know, whatever he did in as a part of his like special forces operations, and then he, you know, went a little too far and got burned. The most likely scenario here, I think, is that, you know, he's a vet who was it? We were talking about this the other day. Like, a lot of the special forces guys refuse to get mental health evaluations or refuse to get therapy because they have career ambitions, and getting any sort of mental health evaluation beyond whatever the military is giving you and getting therapy for that kind of thing actually limits your upwards mobility. So most likely, you know, he left a lot of things untreated, and, you know, probably bricked his brain a little bit, and then did something that unfortunately a lot of veterans do. I think that's like the more likely scenario. And it seems like he believed a whole bunch of crazy stuff that was also happening, that the government was like tracing him and tracking him and stuff like that. That, or vets are sick of being bounced around from therapist to therapist and having to relive the same trauma over and over again with no progress. I think you're talking about veterans rather than like active duty service members who are still seeking out like a higher status within the military. This guy was still in the military. He was still working. As an Air Force vet, can confirm the perception that getting help will ruin your career opportunities. Yeah, if you're still in service and you have a lot of baggage, I guess you have a lot of mental health complications that stunts your growth within the ranks.